Let's skip the agenda and start with a story because it completely reframes how engineers and architects need to think about their value in an AI reshaped world. Picture this, it's 2 a.m., production is down, checkout is broken, and customers can't complete orders. The on call engineer is paged, the incident channel is filling up, and the VP of engineering is watching the dashboard. Nobody in that channel cares which runbook gets used. Nobody cares if the fix comes from a Kubernetes rollback, a hotfix, or a database failover. All anyone wants to hear is, it's fixed, checkout works again. Now think about how we behave the rest of the time outside of an incident. A vendor shows up with a flashy new framework or a trendy methodology, and suddenly the whole team is obsessed with the tool itself. We start believing that if we just adopt the framework or follow the process, the business result will magically show up on its own. That used to just be an expensive mistake. Today, with AI, it's a career ending one because the business, just like that incident channel, only cares about the result. To understand why this mindset shift matters so much right now, we need to look at what AI is actually doing to engineering work. It's doing something we can call AI unbundling. Technology pulling apart the traditional bundle of tasks a single engineer or architect used to perform. Companies used to hire us as a complete package. A senior engineer or architect handled requirements gathering, wrote the design doc, ran the architecture review, drew the sequence diagrams and system diagrams, and built the 40 slide proposal deck to get stakeholders on board. One person, the whole bundle. But when a CTO calls someone into a one for one, they never say, I need someone to write me an architecture decision record. What they actually say is, I need this migration to ship twice as fast, or I need our incident count down, or I need this platform to hold up at 10 times the traffic. The ADR was never the goal. The diagram was never the goal. The design doc was never the goal. They were always just instruments. That's the shift we have to make. In the old model, our worth was defined by the tasks we performed. Write the code, close the ticket, ship the PR, and we hoped those tasks eventually added up to a business result. It treated skilled engineers like assembly line workers who happened to use keyboards instead of wrenches. The new model puts the outcome at the center, achieved through some mix of people, AI, and tooling. AI isn't a replacement for our value, it's another tool on the belt alongside people and platforms that we deploy to hit the actual goal. This brings us to the career outcome ladder, exactly how you should be evaluating your own trajectory from here on. At the bottom, task ownership. I write code, I close tickets, I fix bugs. If that's your whole identity, you are highly exposed to automation. This is precisely what Copilot style tools eat first. One step up, process ownership. I run the sprint. I own the CI CD pipeline. I coordinate releases. Better, but still easy to disrupt once the process itself gets automated. Higher still, decision ownership. I evaluate build versus buy. I choose the architecture pattern. I weigh the trade offs on this migration. Now you are genuinely valuable. At the very top, outcome ownership. I cut our incident rate in half. I got deployment time from 6 weeks to 3 days. I made this platform scale without falling over. That's where human value is concentrating fast. Here's why outcome ownership is nearly immune to AI. A model can generate a clean microservices diagram, draft a full RFC, or scaffold a service in 10 seconds. But when a migration goes sideways, who rebuilds trust with the exec team? Who mediates the standoff between two teams fighting over service ownership? Who convinces a skeptical staff engineer to actually buy into the new architecture instead of quietly working around it? A model can't do any of that. A person does. Because AI cannot own consequences. Organizations now pay for accountability, not just intelligence, because intelligence is turning into a commodity. For years, engineers and architects sitting between the business and the technology were rewarded for their artifacts. We were trained to tie our worth to the line count in a PR or the page count of a design doc. AI is exposing the flaw in that. The diagram, the ADR, the roadmap, none of that was ever the value. It was evidence that value might exist. The real value sits with the person willing to be accountable for the result. So, three shifts starting today. First, deliverables to decisions. Before you write anything, ask what decision this actually enables. An architecture diagram shouldn't exist to look good in Confluence, it should help leadership decide where to invest engineering time. Second, decisions to outcomes. Ask why the decision matters at all. It matters because it cuts latency, lowers cloud spend, or removes a bottleneck, slowing every release after it. Third, become a steward of outcomes. Your job isn't to produce a document, it's to move a measurable number. The diagrams, the design reviews, even your AI prompts are tools in the belt, not the job itself. Here's how that plays out. Say a company's release cycle has stretched to 6 weeks, while a competitor ships weekly, and customer churn is creeping up because people are hitting bugs that stay unfixed for a month. Under the old artifact obsessed mindset, the whole org scrambles to produce more documentation, new requirements docs, new architecture diagrams, a fresh migration roadmap. The pile of documents gets taller, the release cycle doesn't move. Take an outcome based view instead, and you ignore the urge to generate more paper. You own one goal, get releases down to days, not weeks. Digging into the data, you find the real bottleneck, a monolith with a manual, error prone deployment process, and two teams that can't ship independently because their services are tangled together. Now your tools have a purpose. You use the architecture diagram specifically to show where the coupling lives. You use the deployment pipeline map to expose the manual approval steps and duplicate testing. That reframes the executive decision. Instead of throwing headcount at more feature work to win customers back, leadership funds the platform investment to decouple the services and automate the pipeline. 6 months later, release time drops from 6 weeks to 3 days. Bug fix turnaround collapses from a month to under 48 hours and churn reverses. That's what an indispensable engineer or architect looks like. The value is visible and it's what validates the diagrams and the design docs, not the other way around. AI is a genuinely great copilot here. It will draft your diagrams, scaffold your RFCs, and speed up your analysis dramatically. But it cannot walk into a tense leadership review and tell a skeptical VP that they are solving the wrong problem. It can't navigate the politics between two teams that don't trust each other, and it can't forge consensus among a stressed, divided group of humans. So stop identifying with your instruments. Start identifying with the outcomes you improve. Nobody hires a surgeon because she owns a nice set of scalpels. They trust her because she's accountable for the outcome. The same is true for every engineer and architect in this field. The future doesn't belong to whoever ships the most PRs or draws the prettiest diagram. It belongs to the engineers and architects who use their tools, their frameworks, and yes, their AI to move a real, measurable business result. So take this back to your desk today. Look at what you're actually working on right now. In the era of AI, are you just building another artifact for the pile, or are you taking real accountability for the outcome?